Nicole Kidman has filed for divorce from Keith Urban after 19 years of marriage.
Keith and Nicole's shocking $325 million split that rocked the movie and music worlds. Now we're tracing the clue. Now TMZ reports Nicole Kidman just filed for divorce, even though they were told she wanted to save her marriage.
We have such a strong, deep bond and love.
That was then. This is now.
I don't think anyone's the perfect anything.
Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban are calling it quits, and the terms are shocking. 306 versus 59 days in a year. That single number pair, tucked inside Nicole's divorce filing, says more than anything about how their daughters will be spending time with each of them. On September 30th, 2025, in Nashville, a 19-year marriage ended on paper, and the paperwork didn't whisper. It quietly explained. We're not chasing gossip today. We're reading the map the documents already drew. Irreconcilable differences. It's the line you would expect. What you don't expect is how complete everything already was. The filing arrived hand in hand with a parenting plan and a dissolution agreement that was finished, signed, and ready. You don't assemble that overnight. This wasn't a door slammed in anger. It was a door closed after the boxes were already packed. Weeks before the public heard a word, signatures landed on the page. Late summer, early fall. Neat, official, final. On the surface, life still looked glossy. Anniversary posts in June, polished appearances, that dependable image of two careers running in parallel. But the ink tells the real timeline. The decision lived on paper long before it lived in headlines.
Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban have separated. T quote, "She's devastated and didn't want this to happen."
Incredible mom. Loving, maternal, you know. My wife, Nicole Mary, is here tonight. I love you, baby girl.
The shocker comes just 4 months after this love fest at the ACMs.
Who's having more fun today, you or her?
We both are equal.
Here's the number that won't stop echoing. Nicole, 306 days a year. Keith, 59. Nicole is named primary residential parent. Big decisions remain joint. There's a parenting seminar, the kind of requirement that sounds bland until you realize it's there to keep everyone talking about the right things. And the money? Child support prepaid in one sweep. No monthly reminders, no future recalculations. That is not drama, that is design. It's also the kind of design that makes you ask why anyone settles on just 59 days with their teenagers.
Now comes the shocking news that Keith Urban moved out of their home at the beginning of this summer and has his own place in Nashville. There's also a report that he's seeing another woman.
What we've learned is that she really has been fighting hard over the past 3 months or so to save their marriage. This isn't what she wanted.
So even with what I've got now, I've been able to juggle things to accommodate my family.
If you strip away emotion, calendars tell a lot. A touring musician like Keith Urban can have years that vanish in airports and arenas. A project-based actor's schedule, however intense, can still orbit a home base between shoots. Teens don't live on tour buses. They live inside school weeks, soccer practices, and Tuesday night homework. Sometimes the plan isn't a verdict, it's scaffolding. You don't architect a childhood around the unpredictable. You anchor it where routine already exists. 19 years usually means tangled money, but not here. No spousal support. No sprawling tug-of-war over catalogs, royalties, or back-end points. Both Nicole and Keith keep their own work, their own pipeline, their own rights. That's the kind of clarity you draft at the beginning when you love each other enough to keep each other safe, even if one day you won't be standing in the same kitchen.
My wife, Nicole Mary, is here tonight. I love you, baby girl.
4 months into our marriage, my addictions that I'd done really nothing about blew our marriage to smithereens, and I went into the Betty Ford Center. Nick pushed through every negative voice, I'm sure even some of her own, and she chose love.
They chose silence. No public autopsies. No sit-downs with a trembling voice and a carefully placed tissue box. Nicole stepped out with her daughters, said little, and said enough. Protect the center, keep moving. Public quiet isn't evasion. Sometimes it's a flex. It says, we know what this is. We don't need strangers to translate. The filings don't accuse. They don't theorize. Neither will we. But the 306-59 split points to two conclusions that live in plain sight. First, stability wins. When school lives in one city, you keep it that way. Second, logistics spill into law. A schedule can tilt a custody plan without anyone being a villain. Could there be more under the surface? Maybe. But the paperwork doesn't say darker. It says practical. Warm anniversary posts in June. Quiet signatures in late summer. A brisk filing on September 30th. A few days later, measured appearances, no drawn-out statements. This didn't explode, it tapered. And when endings taper, it usually means they began a long time ago. Then slow walk toward the inevitable with as little collateral damage as possible.
We have such a strong, deep bond and love.
That was then, this is now.
I don't think anyone's the perfect anything.
Their story didn't start in a studio or on a set. It began at an Australian gala in Los Angeles. Good Day USA, January 2005. She handed him her number. Weeks passed in silence. The slow start became a sprint. By June 2006, they traded red carpets for vows in Sydney. It felt like two meteors crossing at just the right moment. One anchored in film, one rising through country music, both speaking the same language, ambition with a heartbeat. From the outside, it looked steady. Hands held on carpets, soft smiles in interviews, the kind of admiration that doesn't feel rehearsed. Inside, there was grit. For months into marriage, a crisis arrived, and Nicole didn't flinch. She had the kind of love that doesn't photograph well but matters most. He came back to stage lights and new songs. She stood beside him, but for years, the pattern repeated. Storms, then sunlight, then the next set of clouds. They were good at the big stuff, speeches, milestones, the life raft moments. It was the small dailies, the Tuesday nights and Thursday mornings that slowly asked questions neither of them could keep answering the same way. Two daughters tilted the axis of everything. Sunday Rose, born in Nashville in 2008. Faith Margaret, born in 2010 via gestational surrogate, also in Nashville. Their arrivals stitched the family to a city as much as to each other. If you want to know why the plan concentrates time where it does, start here. A home base built across homework eras and school calendars. The girls didn't just live in Nashville. Nashville lived in them. Before Keith, there was a marriage that was more than a marriage. It was a global storyline. 11 years under stadium lights of attention, 2 children, then an ending that taught Nicole the cost of letting the world narrate your private life. Later, another chapter surfaced years after it happened. A quiet engagement that stayed quiet. If the present looks controlled, almost clinical, it's because the past taught her that stillness can be armor. She learned to protect the perimeter without raising her voice. Before Nicole, there were long romances and short ones, a life spent writing, recording, and moving. Love arrived, love left, the song stayed. If his history reads like chorus, verse, chorus, it's because the road repeats. City to city, stage to stage, makeup wipes, and 2 a.m. room service. You can build a career in that loop. Building a daily life is harder. It's not a flaw, it's physics. If it feels like everyone's splitting, you're not imagining it. The last 2 years have stacked announcement on announcement, quiet statements, mutual respect, requests for privacy. In some cases, marriages that outlasted trends still ran into time's gravity. Careers scale, pressures pile, and people ask whether the life they built in their 20s still fits in their 40s and 50s. There's even a name for the late-in-life recalibration, the wave where couples look at the second act and redesign it. Not a scandal, an audit. There's the photograph and there's the invoice. The photograph is perfect, a hand resting lightly on a shoulder, the satisfied half smile, the posture that says we're good. The invoice is the quiet list of costs. Who traveled, who stayed, who handled the colds, the homework, the midnight I forgot my project scrambles. Over years, the ledger wins. It doesn't care about hashtags. It adds and subtracts and eventually prints a balance due. Silence gets misread. People think it's hiding. Often it's choosing. Choosing not to turn your children into a storyline. Choosing not to feed an algorithm with the messiest 10 minutes of your life. Silence says the only people who need the specifics already have them. The rest of you can have the outline. Here it is, a plan, a schedule, a number. Because 30659 isn't a sentence, it's a structure. It's an acknowledgement that teens don't need a rotating spotlight. They need a dependable table to drop their backpack on. They need one parent to say, "Did you finish?" the same way on Monday as on Friday. They need the boredom of normal. The number is boring on purpose. Stability is supposed to be. No public blaming. No courtroom theatrics. No complicated exchanges of catalog rights or multi-year support drama. For a marriage that big, it's astonishingly small on spectacle. That tells its own story. They didn't want to win, they wanted to land. The internet looks for villains. The documents didn't hand it one. They handed everyone a mirror instead. Tour calendars reflect choices, but so do after-school pickups. One isn't nobler than the other. They're just different currencies. Over a long enough time, the spending patterns become the whole economy. That's when two good people can decide that together isn't the best way to protect what matters anymore. Two people tried. They tried loudly on stages and quietly in kitchens. They got help when it was needed, stood near when the other shook, celebrated the intervals of grace. And then they made the kind of decision adults make when it's not about romance anymore. It's about mornings. Who's there when the alarm goes off? Who hears the door when it clicks at 3:10 p.m.? Who says, "How was it?" and then actually listens? After a split like this, the best case scenario looks ordinary. Separate houses, steady schedules, school events with both parents at opposite ends of a row, a quick nod, a quiet exit. Every now and then, a holiday overlap that doesn't feel strange. A birthday where the laughter sounds the way it used to, just shorter. The internet wants chapter twists. Real life wants consistency. They started at a gala built to celebrate roots. That matters. From day one, their story was about being far from home while home still mattered. Years later, the plan that ends the marriage centers the same idea. Gather where home actually is. It's a circle. Not the one fans wished for, maybe, but a circle just the same. Two stars learn to be steady for each other in storms and steady for their kids in daylight. The storms are what people remember. The daylight is what kids do. They don't need our analysis. They need unexciting weeks with a parent who already knows which mug they'll reach for and how they take their eggs. They need a house where the Wi-Fi always connects and the rules don't change because the time zone did. They need parents who exchange information like teammates, not opponents. The plan tries to deliver exactly that. Nothing cinematic, just sustainable. Nicole learned to be private when the world tried to make her public. Keith learned to find center when the road wouldn't stop moving. Put those two blueprints together and you get a divorce that feels oddly respectful. Minimalist, document-driven, built to keep strangers out. It's not mysterious. It's mature. There are seasons where everyone seems to split. It's not a curse. It's convergence. Careers peak. Kids grow. Bodies change. Values sharpen. People realize the thing they promised at 28 doesn't fit the person they are at 48. That's not failure. That's revision. Hollywood just does it under brighter bulbs. There's bravery in staying when it's hard. There's also bravery in leaving before it gets ugly. Choosing a plan over a fight is not romantic, but it's generous. It protects the future from the past. Add up the days and you don't get a punishment, you get a pattern. The parent who holds the ordinary gets the bulk of the calendar. The parent whose life is measured in dates and flights gets windows that can be honored and expanded when life allows. It's not perfect. It's workable. And in family law, workable beats theatrical every single time. If you wander far enough online, you'll find theories. Affairs, secret feuds, the usual whispers. None of that sits in the filing. The filing gives you a schedule, a signature, a clean ledger. If this story has a villain, it's time. Time on the road. Time on set. Time that ran out on a version of marriage that no longer matched the life surrounding it. Next looks like sport bleachers and parent-teacher nights. It looks like flights routed through weekends instead of Wednesdays. It looks like a mom who's home base and a dad who makes sure his 59 days count like 100. It looks like girls who get to be exactly what they are. Teenagers who didn't ask to be symbols for anything. Co-parenting apps synced. Shared calendars color-coded. Text when you arrive. Let me know if the schedule shifts. Permission slips signed by whoever's closer to the printer. This is the real machinery of aftermath. It runs on discipline, not drama. You're not alone. Plenty of people watch celebrity divorces because they're trying to understand their own. Here's the unsensational advice the numbers whisper. Build the plan your kids will actually live, not the one your pride prefers. Keep the arguments off the calendar. Let the paperwork be the bad guy when you need it to be. Then go make the days gentle. When celebrities stay quiet, the documents tell the story. And this story isn't about villains or shock reveals. It's about arithmetic. 30659 isn't a clapback. It's a compass. It points to where the school nights happen, who cooks most dinners, who catches the door when it slams after practice. You can debate motives forever. The math doesn't care. It simply balances the life that already exists. So what do those numbers really mean? They mean two parents decided that the best way to love their kids after 19 years was to keep the center still, even if it meant standing on opposite sides of it. Who do you think's going to be the next person in the limelight? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to get the latest celebrity news and updates. I'll see y'all on the next one.